Hello, everybody, you Raven fans, you Oriole fans out there. Get the camera right here. Thank you for joining us this week on the Rivalry Sports Podcast pre-game edition of the podcast because we got a Ravens game here in a few minutes. In about an hour, Ravens and Bengals will be on right after the podcast. That will be live. We are recording this here today to go ahead and get squared away with our podcast. Rivalry Sport. I'm Charles, by the way. It's usually at the bottom of the screen. I don't say it. Rivalry Sports Podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content here as well. If you're watching this on a YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, or our X page live. We also show this on Facebook and Rumble in entirety. Almost in entirety on Facebook. I think we have to edit out the intro because of copyright, etc. there. And also on Rumble, it's pretty much the whole thing. We do the whole podcast there. So thank you all for that as well. Now, let's go ahead and get down. Genesis Notary Services /facebook.com. Definitely you can go on there. If you live in the Shenandoah Valley area, we stamp your documents with care. Definitely have your ID out there, you people out there who are looking for notary services as well. We can't stamp it without ID. Please bring cash. I do not take checks or anything like that. See, Charles Harris, we are LegalShield.com. Value of Legal Shield is tremendous. So definitely all you business owners out there, especially if you're having trouble collecting money or anything like that, especially you young couples out there. It works for any couple, but if you want to get a will done, make sure you trust me when I tell you, you want to get these things done before you actually have something happen. Lawyers can be very expensive. It's a very cheap option for you there. RaverySports.company.site. She's leaving there. RaverySports.company.site. Definitely. Now, I am rocking the Michigan hat today for no particular reason, except that was the nearest one to me at the time. Frederick Keys. I've had this for years. Keys used to be the affiliate of the Orioles, affiliate. So this is a Mountie Frederick Keys for you. Frederick Keys historians there. Definitely have that, check that out as well. And definitely our best of 2024 video that is going to be on New Year's Eve. So absolutely check that out as well. So that is going to be our last video of 2023. Still deciding on the time. I don't know if I'm gonna do it right at midnight or anything like that this year, but it'll be at the end of the year. We'll go ahead and get that squared away. Let's get to business of the NFL. All right, so as we get down to the business of the NFL, let's go ahead and talk NFL here. Ravens last week taking care of business. That was a complete wipeout. Like our election, like we just had. 41-10. I couldn't resist. 41-10. Ravens over the Denver Broncos in this one. This was a total annihilation from the Ravens from start to finish. I don't think in this one at any point I ever felt like Denver was going to win this game. I mean, they was just in a different class. You see that sometimes. It used to be when it used to see it like I felt that the most in years past with football when the Niners played. You know, the not the current version, but when they had Steve Young, when they had Rice, they had Montana, they play a team and they were just different level than that. That's what that looked like here. Different level of football when you talk about the Ravens is compared to Denver in this one. Fearless leader Lamar Jackson. He was 16-19 of 280. He had 3 touchdowns in this one. He's having an MVP season. I think you can even argue he's been MVP twice, and this is his best season in comparison to that. Didn't throw the ball a lot. I thought he missed practice a couple days a week. I was a little concerned about him missing practice, but notwithstanding, good stuff from Lamar. I thought Lamar steadied the ship, did very well. Didn't run as much in this one, Banged up. I don't want people to be too concerned about that. Because hey, this is football. We're in week 9. He's been in the league 7 years. A little beat up, a little banged up. He didn't practice at all this week. But Lamar was outstanding. Derrick Henry was outstanding. He 23 carries, 106, 2 TDs. Derrick Henry is clearly having an MVP level season. He's at 1,000 yards already here in 9 games. I think he has been outstanding. I don't know. You run out of superlatives for Derrick Henry. Guys cannot tackle him. You need 2 guys to tackle him. You need 2 guys to take him down. This was the first game with Derrick Henry, the last couple games where the first time the last couple games with Derrick Henry where they had yes, but Henry is terrific. Henry, had this been the 80s, he'd be the leading candidate for the MVP, right along there with Jackson. There's definitely a case to be made. They've been the 2 best players in the league on one team. Both of them terrific. Zay Flowers is emerging right before us. Zay Flowers, I thought, was been fantastic here at the last stretch. 5 receptions, 127 yards, 2 TDs. Flowers, I think, is really emerging as a true number 1 receiver in the NFL. I saw a couple people post like, okay, he's top 5. I think that's a bit of a stretch, top 5, but certainly in the top 30 as one of the best receivers, one of the top receiving threats. Clearly now the shift has happened, using him now as the number 1. Lamar, not Mark Andrews, trying to get more big plays, more stuff downfield. With Derrick Henry there, they can't key up as much. They're trying to stop the run, so it's opening up things down the field for Zay Flowers. Trenton Simpson at 9 tackles. It's coming along. I think Simpson has been pretty good. I think he's much better, I think, in coverage overall as far as a complete linebacker than Patrick Queen was. Queen was better going straight ahead, forward, hitting at and Simpson is a little bit more of a complete linebacker. I would say they have needed it. Roquan, not quite as good. He only had 3 tackles in this game. Not quite as good this year. I think the concern over Roquan, I think, has been a little bit hyperbolic. I think it's a little, but not quite as good. I think that's fair to say. With Roquan as well. Bo Nix, 19 of 33, 253, 1 INT. I think he did have a receiving touchdown as well in this one. Not ready yet. Not there yet. Rookie quarterback missed some throws. I thought there was a couple of times where he was there and he just overthrew guys, or the route wrong, or the ring route. The incorrect route was ran, things like that. I thought in this one, I thought Nix was decent as well, but not quite at a Lamar Jackson at that type of level. Still a rookie though. I think it's promising. I think like some of what we saw is good, but made like rookie type mistakes. Accuracy not quite there on everything yet. Not quite feeling the rush the way he should. Not quite, not enough in this one. Really didn't run the ball much. I mean, because being they were losing most of the game. 12 carries, 42 yards. Javonte Williams. Ravens run game, not quite as what it's been. It's still ranked very high, but not quite what it's been. So many injuries to that front. You're a little worried about Brent Urban. He's still in concussion protocol here. It's been more than a week now. Still in concussion protocol. No Michael Pierce, as we know. Travis Jones banged up. Issues. Matabuke not as strong. Roquan not as strong. So that said, teams have had more. It seems like they're getting more rushing yards. Javonte Williams is decent back. I mean, I ain't got no problem with that. Cortland Sutton was the only bullet they had in the gun. I thought offensively, 7 receptions, 122. Not in love with Sutton as a player. been inconsistent, but he has all the measurables as well. I think like they put a lot of emphasis on him, which is the right thing. Really, nobody else really stepped up to help him. I thought Brandon Stevens, they're playing a lot. They're using him a lot with one-on-one situations. So I think that is where they use Sutton against him. I'd like to see more man-to-man from the Ravens in this one, more man-to-man coverage. They're using more zone a lot more these days, like a lot of the league is. We know how good Pat Surtain, and this was the guy that really stood out to me, John Franklin Myers, in this one. Really the only guy. They paid him the most attention, and he still had a sack. I thought his pass rush was decent. The Ravens' offensive line, I thought, was better in this one. I think the right side is still has issues. But I thought, though, they had I thought he had the best day. I thought the Broncos defense overall, I'd be remiss in not saying how disciplined I thought they were. They looked good as a team. They moved in sync well. They just don't have the level of talent that the Ravens have as well. So that's it. 41-10 Ravens over the Denver Broncos. In this one, I thought this was all Ravens. All Ravens. Broncos just not at the same level. Well coached, disciplined team, just lacking the talent to play at the level of the Baltimore Ravens and beat them on the road. Now we got a game tonight. The Bengals and the Bengals and the Ravens. The Thursday night Amazon Prime. I think I got that date wrong. Amazon Prime game on Thursday night football. Right? So definitely if you don't have Amazon, apparently everybody in the world Amazon Prime before I did. My wife looked at me and was like, "Oh, you don't have Amazon Prime?" No, I didn't have Amazon Prime. I don't do all that shopping like that. So let's go ahead and get squared away with this one tonight. Who are we gonna see tonight? Lamar will play. He has missed practice two times before the Broncos game. This week, I don't really take much out of it. He's not practicing. They really don't practice when they have a Thursday game. They kind of just do walkthroughs and things like that. They don't really, certainly no hitting at all. I think I think Lamar will be fine. I think they're really looking to hopefully get Lamar healthy out of this one and get on to the next one because you kind of like, after a Thursday game, you kind of like got a mini bye. So you're not practicing that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Body gets a chance to rest, and you don't practice again until next Wednesday. So we're really looking forward to that. Derrick Henry, look at that. 168 carries, 1,052 yards, 11 TDs. No, that's not a whole season. That's one half. That's 9 games that he's got there. Derrick Henry's been terrific all season long. So definitely Derrick Henry, shout out to him actually getting that squared away as well. Henry has been outstanding for the Ravens all season here. So good for him. How good productive he's been. Clearly Dallas is taking a beating for not signing him. I think it's the whole league. What are you doing? I mean, the only guy, the 2 free agents, Saquon Barkley got signed up by Philly, big contract. But you look at what he signed for. Like I don't know what he's thinking. He's putting guys in the hospital every week. Zay Flowers is emerging right before us. I think 46 receptions, 654, 3 TDs. I think the Ravens have never had a wide receiver get 1,200, more than 1,200 yards, 1,201 yards. That's the most. Michael Jackson at the receiver. I think Andrews had like 1,300 as a tight end. Flowers might break that this year. The way he has been going, he's been very productive. They've been I haven't really seen this where they're feeding him the ball. They usually don't do that with a receiver here in Baltimore, receivers period. They kind of like have the attitude. For years, John Harbaugh had the attitude, well, that's the way the game went, blah, blah, blah. No, they're looking for Andrews early. They're looking to get him catches. They're looking to get him squared away, get him as well. Kyle Hamilton, I think, has overall been your most productive guy as of late on defense. 32 tackles, 1 sack. got to find him as well. There's been a lot of movement around him at safety. Marcus Williams was back in there this week. I'm assuming Marcus Williams is going to start for going forward. There has been they brought in Tre'Davious White this week on the back end. There's been some upheaval. I think the defense still needs to correct itself a lot. Still out of issues. Even last week with the good performance, rookie quarterback missed some throws, whatever. This week, that ain't going to work. It's a good Cincinnati offense, even though it is missing one of its best weapons. Burrow has been really good this year, as quiet as it's kept. Bengals' record doesn't reflect it, but Burrow has been really good. 2,440 yards. Easy for me to say. 2,244 yards, 20 touchdowns to 4 picks. Burrow's been good. Hasn't been the problem. They've scored. So it's not on him that it is. Their defense has really struggled, wobbled a lot this year. They've kind of picked it up late, and here we go again with the Bengals. They're kind of moving now, in the right direction here. So this is going to be, they're going to look at this as a big game trying to get to 500. Chase Brown has kind of taken the starting job from Zach Moss, 105 yards, 105 carries, 497 yards, 4 TDs. He's been really good. I think definitely, yeah. I mean, that kind of sums it up. He has taken the starting job from Zach Moss. More of a power guy in between the tackles, whatever he had. He was a little bit banged up last week, but definitely guys, the inside guys really need to play well against a Chase Brown, Roquan, Matabuke. Got to get some sacks. He's definitely getting double teamed. Got to stop the run. This is a team where if they're not throwing the ball, they're going to be effective in the run game. That's absolutely true. Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase, not that long ago, and might be the best receiver in the NFL. If you say that he's number one in the league, I'm not going to argue with you. 55 receptions, 717. Definitely allowing, I think, one of the larger NFL wide receiver contracts in NFL history. He's definitely terrific. Definitely, they played together in college. Him and Joe Burrow, they have a strong familiarity with each other. Definitely no T. Higgins in this game, it looks like. Listed as doubtful. So that is going to matter a lot as far as that goes, not having T. Higgins in this one. So even more emphasis on Chase in this game. Definitely Brandon Williams, Marlon Humphrey, definitely going to spend a lot of time chasing him around. Really with him, watch the crossing routes. Like everybody with him, that's where I see where he kills guys. Like taking those crossing routes and just going the house with everybody focuses on the deep stuff. That's more Higgins. But he takes those crossers and just it gets 20 and 30 yards. This is the defense right here for the Cincinnati Bengals, Trey Hendrickson. Not a run stopper, but they kind of go as he goes on defense. If they get good pass rush on both sides from him and Sam Hubbard, especially, they kind of have something. Really struggled their back end this year. Our old friends, Stone, Cam Britt, etc. Logan Smith, not the same. I mean, they've really struggled on their back end. I think this is why they've had problems on defense. However, they can score. They do have, if anything, a better pass rush than what we have with the Ravens. So keep that in mind. They if they can rush the passer, and the Ravens have had trouble on the right side, that could be an interesting factor in this one. No Isaiah Likely, so Charlie Kolar is going to be the X factor on offense. So how much are they going to use him as well to replace him? As well, Isaiah Likely out for this game with the injury. How much are we going to get of Charlie Kolar tonight? I think, especially with the pass rush, you might see more of that max protect that the Ravens kind of like to use as well. 2 tight ends, etc. Ricard, we'll see that that'll factor in. Marlon Humphrey, huge assignment tonight because you have Jamar Chase. So definitely, I think the biggest weapon, obviously, they have the outstanding Pro Bowl quarterback, Joe Burrow, outstanding Pro Bowl level wide receiver, Jamar Chase. Definitely, it's a thing where I think the Ravens are going to need Marlon Humphrey in this one, or the X. Ravens, I think, do win this game. I think being that it's I almost would call this a trap game had it not been the Bengals. Thank God for that. Because it's Cincinnati, I think there is reason to not think that this is a trap. Thank you today. Yeah. Reason to think that this is not a trap. This is a division game. They'll pay attention. I don't know how I feel about Cincinnati as an opponent, though. The record says one thing. They historically kind of play better in this one. They historically kind of play better this time of year. So we will see. But I think the Ravens 23-20 over the Bengals tonight. So there you go. And now let's go to our larger NFL content. The good thing, and that's a good thing, right, is that on a Thursday, like when I don't have, when the Ravens are on a Thursday or a Monday, I really get to watch the larger part of the league there. And so that's a good thing. So let's go ahead. The Big Five, the 5 biggest games on the schedule that are not Baltimore Raven games. So let's go over that. Go ahead and bring that up. All right, Big Five. Last week had a lot of important games last week on the schedule. Big Five. Chefs and the Bucks on the Monday night game. Chefs just keep rolling. They don't look good, but they win and they win and they win and they win and they win. Could they go undefeated? They haven't, to me, look like their best. I think Kelsey has looked much better recently, but again, Bucks, they were game. I think without the receivers, I don't know how far they get. But they fought hard in Kansas City. I was fairly impressed with them. Vikings over the Colts as well. That's what I get for picking the Colts. That's kind of what I get for picking the Colts. The Colts are just an enigma, man. They look good one week, look like a playoff team, look have a good, and then they just inconsistent. Flacco didn't play well, I thought, in this one as well. Only had 13 points. As good as Flacco is, this is kind of why the Ravens don't have him anymore. He looks good, and then he kind of has one like that where they don't move the ball much at all. Lions, I've said they're the best team in the NFC for a while. I don't think there's any question about it. Going to Green Bay, Love has thrown picks now in several games in a row. So that's big when they go into Green Bay and win against that team. Look, the Lions are no joke. I think they're the best team in the NFC. Rams and Seahawks. Didn't surprise me that the Rams won. I think the Rams are definitely fighting hard. They again, they're well coached. I could kind of see that. Again, you see teams when they don't do stupid stuff. Never see Rams teams have a lot of foolishness, have a lot of stupidity. They always stay on point. Stafford gives them enough to kind of pull them out, and definitely getting the win in overtime there as well. So that was one of the games there. And the last one, what was the last one? The last one, yeah. Oh, God. Cowboys and Falcons. Cowboys, I don't know what to say at this point about the Cowboys. They lost CeeDee Lamb to injury. He may play this week. Prescott out several weeks. That was pretty much all they had anyway. Micah Parsons still not on the field. I honestly, I think the Falcons, I mean, the thing was, hey, why didn't you do more in this game, for God's sake? I mean, with all that that happened, so, and they still, they won by 6. So I think that says something about that. So let's go to this week's slate of games. 49ers and the Bucks. So we just talked about the Bucks. I think the Bucks are game. 49ers going in there as well. 49ers, I think, are going to be okay. I kind of in that camp where they're going to be okay. It is a chance. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to play this week. That matters. That's a big deal that they're going to have Christian McCaffrey. Debo Samuel's kind of banged up still. They're not obviously not going to have Ayuk the rest of the year. I think the line has not been great. I think it's been kind of a slide all year because of Trent Williams. So they're offensively, they're not as strong. Defensively, they're not quite as strong. I don't think the Bucks get enough points, though, in the current. I think you're going to kind of see a lot with the Bucks you saw last week. Mayfield plays well. He's going to rally around. They're going to get 20, 24 points, and they kind of going to lose these games. I think I think the Niners kind of get healthy as well. Defense, I think, needs to play better if they're going to actually go to the NFC Championship game and get there. I think they're better than Tampa. I think they go win this game. This is a fascinating game as well. Commanders made a big trade this week getting Marshawn Lattimore. I don't know if he's healthy enough to play in this game, but that's a big move for a team that's struggling. I think the weakness is on defense. 7 wins for the Commanders against the Squealers. I think they give it to the Squealers too in this one. I'm not sold on the Squealers. I'm not saying that because I don't like them, because I don't like them. I'm not saying that. I think Russell is better though than Fields. I think that's clear. At least you know what you're getting from Fields, from Russell Wilson rather than Fields. But I was pretty unimpressed with the two. I mean, you beat the Jets, you beat the Giants. There's not a lot of offense there. He had a couple plays downfield. That was it. Their defense is sensational. I mean, they went and got Preston Smith. They made a move as well. I think their defense is really good. They could stay. They're going to be in every game, regardless of what their offense does. I think they might have the best defense in the NFL for whatever that's worth in 2024. So I think that matters. I don't think that's going to be enough here against Jalen Daniels. They're going to score. He's going to run around a lot. I think you're going to see a lot of that. McLaurin, I predict to have a good game. The weakness of that good defense is the secondary for Pittsburgh, Porter, etc., not having a great year. I like the Commanders in this one as well. Broncos and the Chefs. Man, so let's get John Elway and Marty Schottenheimer and, and Neil Smith and all that. I think of those great Bronco Chiefs games that we used to have a long time ago, where the Broncos had, were kind of the top dog. Chiefs were trying to knock them off. Then you had a couple years like before where the Broncos were kind of, it was great rivalry, AFC West rivalry. This has always been. Now we got offense of coaches Sean Payton and Andy Reid. And this one, I do think they got exposed last week by the Ravens. I thought the Broncos, they're well coached as well. They looked disciplined on offense. I think they have a rookie quarterback. I don't think they have enough bullets in their gun. I gotta say, the Chefs, you gotta think though, sooner or later, their issues are going to catch up with them, right? They did get D-Hop in, and that helped. But they've had a lot of games close to the vest. When you have a lot of games like that close to the vest, do to lose one. I'm not going to say it's this one because I don't think the Broncos are quite at the same level despite their record. But I do think it is an issue for them going forward. But I do think they win. I don't think this is a young team ready to go in Arrowhead and beat the Chefs. Again, not yet, not quite yet. As well. What do I think of the Colts? Right, I was just starting to get off the Colts. Right? I've made great fun of Chris Ballard, and I think he's a goofy GM. I do think Irsay is a terrible owner. Says a lot of weird things. They historically keep a lot of cap space. I do like Shane Steichen as a coach. I think that is the one difference in this version, where I do think that Shane Steichen as a coach, he understands. And we like Joe Flacco as a quarterback for everything he's done for the Ravens. So definitely that's what kind of offered him a little bit compared to where I used to be. But I saw it last week with Minnesota, inconsistent. You got to be more consistent on offense. They've had this problem forever, ever since Andrew Luck walked out the door on them. They can't be consistent on offense. They get some good weeks, some good games. You don't know what they're going to get. So from the Colts, they are at home, and they are at home as well. Buffalo's been terrific, as quiet as kept. They went out and got Amari Cooper. It hasn't been a great addition yet so far. I think their offense is top shelf. I think Allen is top shelf as well. Their defense, to me, also has been much better than I thought. I thought the defense was going to fall off a lot more than it has. It really has not, except for really the Ravens game. They've been terrific all year long. Buffalo's better than the Colts are. I think that's the long and the short of it for me. Buffalo, I think with that strong run game, I think they should be able to run the ball. Allen, I think if it's a close shootout as well, I like the Bills over the Colts. I think this is the most interesting game of the weekend. The Lions, I think they're the best team in the NFC, going against the Texans, who are coming off a loss to the Jets. I think the loss to the Jets, to me, they're 6-3. I think that was honestly, to me, more about the bad Jets than I do think it was about bad Lions. But more bad Jets, bad Texans rather, than I do think it was about good Jets rather. A lot of injuries that they have. A lot of their receivers, Diggs went out with the injury. Tank Dell has kind of become the number one guy because of injuries. Offensive line has struggled. Stroud has struggled more. Hasn't looked quite as good. Defense, I don't think it's great. They do have good edge rush with Will Anderson, etc. I think is it going to be enough here to go against the juggernaut of the Lions? I think Dan Campbell's actually become a really good coach. I kind of think that Campbell, I think despite it's tough to tell when somebody's so emotional. Like, you don't know, like Doug Collins in basketball was kind of like, got sick of his crying after. I got sick of his. But no, he's kind of really harnessed himself. I think he's really become a good coach. And they have an identity. Offensive line is terrific. Run game is terrific. Goff plays off of that as well. Goff has had a tremendous season as well. I don't think, though, I kind of got a feeling here, kind of like what I said with Kansas City, a lot of games close to the vest. I'm going to take the Texans at home. I think they kind of snap out of it, and they're going to need to win a lot of these games down the stretch. But I got to tell you, Stroud has got to play better than he will. I think he will. I guess one thing that the Lions don't have, secondary has gotten better for them, but I think it can be exploited. I like the Texans in this one as well. There you go. Big five biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games. So there you go. So enjoy all the games this weekend. Definitely, as you Raven fans, especially watching the games. So definitely check it out this weekend. Big college football game. Maryland and Oregon. Oregon ranked number one. I think they're the best team in all college football going against Maryland this week. So definitely check out Maryland and Oregon on Big Ten Network, 7 o'clock on Saturday night. I was going to take a deeper dive. I don't think Maryland has any shot here in this one. As much as we all love the Terps and all that, etc. Dylan Gabriel, I think, is probably going to the next level. I don't know if he wins the Heisman, but he's certainly in the category for the Heisman. They are just one thing I've noticed about the Ducks in recent years, how big of compared to, they look like NFL guys size-wise compared to a lot of teams. So Dan Lanning gave a great team here. I don't think this is going to be much for a large game. So it's definitely I don't think there's really much in terms of analysis that I really need to give here as far as that goes. Oregon should win this game. Interesting to see with Maryland how they respond. Who plays quarterback? Are they going to stick with Billy Edwards all the way through this one? Or is MJ Morris, we're going to see more of him? Really struggled in that last game. Didn't look good. So I don't think he's been benched from when everything I've seen the last week and change since the Minnesota game. But I think MJ Morris maybe gets a shot at it. I don't like the Terps defense the last couple of years. I don't think they're aggressive enough. I don't think it's just the Terps. I think there's a lot of teams, but so definitely though, check it out. See how the Terps do Saturday night against the Oregon Ducks in that one as well. Basketball started as well. Manhattan and Maryland. Game one. Game one. I think I got that graphic wrong there. I am because like I don't have a lot of my stuff. Like I've had to. There's a graphic I had to throw graphics the other day. Like I don't have my old trusty stuff, but we're definitely still going to talk about the game. 79-49 in this one. Maryland actually wins the first game as well. A little close in the first half, but yes, Derek Queen, hallelujah. Oh man, how good was he? I did the Terps preview, and it didn't. I'm not sure if he started in the pre-games and the preseason games, etc. But right away, a freshman nowadays, you don't know. The last year, a lot of the freshmen that was supposed to be really good struggled. Now you're seeing it this season. A lot of the freshmen are really good that are coming in right away. Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, and Derek Queen. He was a man child out there. I mean, he really was. So, and definitely you saw that early with the stat line that he had in this one as well. So definitely, this is no longer. This is absolutely what you call no longer Jameer Nelson's team. He's gone, guys. Move on in this one as well. Jacoby Gillespie was great in this one. Rodney Rice, terrific as well in this one. So I'm definitely excited, as you can tell, about the Terps and their prospects. Because Terps, I thought were fantastic in this one as well. 1-0, Terps actually go ahead and win this game in this one in Manhattan against the Manhattan Jaspers as well in this one. So let's go over this. All right, so let's go into it here. The top 10 in honor of the Terps basketball season starting. We're going to go over who were the best 10 players in the history of Maryland basketball as well. So let's go over that. Definitely, actually, believe it or not, I thought this would be harder than football. I kind of thought it was a little bit easier in terms of that, as far as picking out 10 of the best players that ever lived as well. Here's a guy who actually, I'm going to start backwards here almost with Steve Blake. The pro career he had was actually way better than I thought. He played like 12 years in the league at point guard. Actually had a big so shout out to Steve Blake with his pro career. At Maryland, he was the point guard of the national championship team when the Terps won the title in 2000. So shout out to Steve Blake. I thought he was the linchpin, the guy running the show. He was the guy, one of the greatest backcourts, I thought, in the history. I think the greatest backcourt in the history of Maryland basketball. That's saying something. You had Steve Blake, one of the best point guards the Terps ever had, right up there with Keith Gatling and all that, etc. Steve Blake. Number 9, Buck Williams. Some of y'all have never watched Buck Williams, like some of you guys, but this guy is a throwback to the old days of the power forward. Like when you saw a guy wasn't a center, but he actually handled business at the 4. That's what Buck Williams clearly was. Better offensive player at Maryland, I thought, as a Terp. Definitely played a long time in the NBA with the Portland Trailblazers, most notably, I think, on that championship team, 92. Well, not they didn't win a championship in the finals level team in 92, but Buck had a great, great pro career, great start at Maryland. True power forward in a sense. Put it in a dictionary, power forward. You look at a name like Buck Williams, number 9. Here's a guy, especially we just had an election, spent a lot of years in the Senate, Tom McMillan. So definitely, this guy was a good offensive scorer, was a good offensive guy. More of a tweener as well. If you watch the name, not as good of a version of a Kevin McHale, but that's kind of what he was. Kind of lanky, kind of, had a lot of size, about 6'10", 6'11", but could really score, maneuver inside as well. Not really a guy like him in the modern game though. I can't really say. I almost want to say Luka Doncic as well. Not quite to that level, but he was more of a big guy. Like you don't really see a guy like a Tom McMillan. So Tom McMillan, I think, was definitely one of the most influential guys getting the program squared away in the 70s as well. So definitely Tom McMillan was there. Albert King. You got to say it like that when you talk about Albert. That's how I used to say it in the league. Albert, I thought, was one of the better scorers in the history of Maryland. Definitely a long pro career. Definitely hard to find a picture. I use like Sports Illustrated of him. But definitely he was a volume scorer. This was a guy, volume scorer. Put the ball in his hands. He's going to give you 2 points. Shoot that mid-range shot. Great athleticism. With dunk, I mean, you didn't see as much of that when he played, but definitely a guy, no question, when he was on the court, where it was going up and in. That type of player. So Albert King was one of the outstanding players, played the NBA a long time as well. Good pro career. Albert King, number 7. You gotta love Grievous Vasquez if you watch Terps basketball. Gotta love Grievous Vasquez. Definitely the emotion he played with was off the charts. Love to watch a Vasquez as he had flaws in his game, no question about it. Somebody's going to hit me in the comment. Well, he was like, but this guy, just the excitement that he played with, definitely scored. Streaky for sure. He had games, man. He would drive you nuts, with his emotion and things like that. But I thought he was really integral at a really integral time of the program. Not the highest heights. There are guys on this list. I think he was one of them that kind of held it together when the Terps program really needed it. This was one. Grievous Vasquez, not really a pro career, NBA at least career, but outstanding college as well. Franchise. I almost put franchise there, but Steve Francis, I thought, is number 5. I think he could be higher actually if he had played longer at Maryland, went to the NBA. Tremendous player for so many years in the NBA, played with the Magic and the Rockets as well. He really, again, volume scorer. So like you talk about Albert King getting points, whatever, this guy was automatically a little more of a ball handler. I thought he was. I thought like I'd like to see a little better defense from him at times, but franchise would light you up. Period. I mean, there were no nights where it was 1 for 40 or one for 20 or anything like that. Franchise would light you up offensively. That's definitely what he was. So franchise, I think, is number 5. I think you could argue he's one of the best scorers the Terps ever had as a player. All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right. So phone rang. So that's why I record. Don't go live always. The phone rang. All right. So Walt Williams. I think you talk about a guy, Grievous Vasquez, that helped the franchise together. The Maryland win tough times. I don't think there's a bigger one ever than Walt Williams. Terps program was really struggling when Walt Williams was there. They had probation. They had a lot of scandal. They had a lot of issues. They had Bob Wade thing didn't go well after Lefty left and all that other stuff. Had a lot of problems. The thing that kept them going was the Wizard, Walt Williams, who was terrific for them. Definitely one of my personal favorites as a player excellent individual as well for the community. That everything that I've seen, played multiple positions on the court, played point guard, played center, played all 5 positions. So I love Walt Williams as a player. I think Walt Williams, is one of the greatest players. It's almost, I don't know almost how I feel about it. Feeling good that he held it together at a low point, but I almost, in some ways, I like to see him better with better players as well. He stayed. He was fantastic. Walt Williams, number 4. Number 3, the top 3 to me weren't in dispute. where the rest of the list was this was not in dispute for me as well. Just where you put him. Joe Smith, I think, is one of the best basketball players I ever saw anywhere. The year he came in, I remember I was in high school and we watched Keith Booth a lot. Came in the same recruiting class. Keith Booth was a McDonald's All-American. And we all talked about where's Keith Booth. Keith Booth's got to go to Maryland. Keith Booth got to go to Maryland. He did. Keith Booth went to Maryland. He came in same class with Joe Smith, who was also highly regarded, not quite as much. Joe Smith stole the show from minute one. First game with Georgetown, he was terrific. His whole Maryland career, number 1 overall pick. Little bit disappointing as a pro considering how good he was, but Joe Smith was a scorer. You couldn't stop him, period. In the blocks, too quick for you. Not really a pro center. I think he was a little miscast. I think like he could have been playing a 4 as well. Maybe a 3-4. I think that was kind of his issue in the NBA, but he was fantastic as a player. Joe Smith, I think, was one of the better ever Terps I ever saw. But Joe Smith was extremely dominant on the court in his prime, definitely as a Terp. Number 2, Juan Dixon. Some people might say he's number 1. I'm going to have him at 2. But look, the credentials for Juan Dixon are was the best player on the best team in the Maryland basketball history that won the national championship. I don't think there's any argument for that. He was an outstanding 3-point shooter. He was the scorer. He was the leader of the team as far as, especially on the offense. You could argue with Blake was offense. I think he had a great backcourt. I think him and Juan Dixon, him and Steve Blake, rather. Dixon, I think, was as important as anybody to the history of Maryland basketball. Tremendous player, quick, little undersized for NBA. Kind of like the same thing with Smith, a little undersized as well for the NBA, but a awesome, awesome college player as well. Local product too. Played at Calvert Hall, from Baltimore. Families involved in the town, Sheila Dixon and etc. The Dixon family. So outstanding Baltimore, Maryland hero, Juan Dixon. And I don't think there's any question if Len Bias is number 1. People are going to look at you crazy when they say, was he? It's funny. I got Jordan in the frame going against Jordan there while Jordan was at North Carolina. Was he better than Michael Jordan was? People would say that's insane. If you saw it, died tragically right after the draft. Celtics drafted him number 2, and then he died tragically the night after the draft and never played in the league. This guy was beyond awesome. I don't think there was a guy. He dominated every game he played. Had size, about 6'8", 6'9", quicker than everybody in the league. It is the fact that we never saw him play in the NBA is one of the great tragedies. I think for the Celtics, it was a tragedy. And it really, we talk about what hurt Walt Williams helping the program. It was hurt. I think it was the death of Len Bias that really caused the spiral as great as he was. But make no mistake, there wasn't a better player than Len Bias in Maryland. I never saw one. So there you go. The top 10 Maryland Terps of all time. Check it out. All right, so we went over Maryland basketball there. Let's do, obviously, we do every week. Let's spend our last 10 minutes on our Orioles discussion. Let's talk Baltimore Orioles here. All right, so let's go ahead and go over this. The Orioles prospect list 2024-25, the new Orioles prospect list. So we're going to talk about guys who are going to be in the draft, who are the recently in the Orioles system as well, who are going to play in the major league level next year, future years, whatever. Who should we be keeping an eye on as well? We do this every couple times a year, but definitely this is our first one now in the off season. Names to keep an eye on as well. Let's go over it. Max Wagner kind of sliding down. He was in the top 10, had a lot of injuries. I think he's got a lot of good stuff with him where he can play. Definitely a good college player at Clemson. Got to get that average up. His averages kind of struggled. Definitely tremendous power bat. Brandon Young named the Orioles minor league pitcher of the year. So definitely, I think he's definitely going to be given a shot at the rotation if there is a fifth spot there. Definitely, he's going to, I believe, he's going to be given every shot to get a major league team. 2024. Braylon Tavera, definitely you talk about the you talk about the Orioles international scouting. He is definitely making his way and doing good things there as well. So definitely he's been steady. A while we will see him in the majors. 2027, I think even that's a little early considering he's 18, but he's definitely got that opportunity. I mean, the way he's been going, definitely been the star of that. Gotta love Creed Williams. I love watching Creed Williams. He's definitely you think not talented Bryce Harper, but think about a Bryce Harper when he plays. The energy he's always playing with. Every time I see a Creed Williams highlight, he's got his fist up. He's excited. Definitely worked his way. Lost a lot of weight. Don't know if he's a catcher, but definitely you're trying him at first. Juan Nunez is a guy who's kind of moving up the ranks. Again, 2026, I think he's definitely in the majors. I think next year, possibility you could see him almost in the top 10. I think that's like 11 if I was to put him. This isn't necessarily a ranking right here, but definitely worth mentioning. Juan Nunez is there. Number 10, Trace Bright. Bright, I think, again, definitely a guy, definitely going to be given a shot at the majors next year. Definitely pitched very well in Norfolk last year, 24 years old. I think definitely has good stuff. Definitely has not overpowering in any sense as well, not with the 95, 98 mile an hour fastball. Definitely a guy who worked his way through the minors. Interesting to see how he can, if there are any spots though, it's free agency. We're going to talk more about that next week. But definitely, if there are any spots, if there's anything you can do to work in free agency to get that taken care of. Chance McDermott is 26 years old, 25. I thought we might see him this year. Interesting to see how they still feel about him. Not a lot of great pitching the Orioles have anymore. Now, Grayson has graduated. DL Hall's gone. They're no longer there. So you got guys like Chance McDermott, Nunez, Bright. We'll see Brandon Young possibly. It's more possibility now for guys that are in the organization to see. Steven Martinez is a name you don't know. He's definitely part of this Mike Elias international scouting. Definitely played in the Dominican Republic. There, DCL Orioles. He was terrific looking at the start. I mean, you watch the film, it jumps off on you. Now he's still really young, but he won award like for them this year. So good stuff from him as well. Be a while before you see him, but I got no problem putting him in the top 10 from what I saw. Griff O'Farrell. Dustin Pedroia vibes from O'Farrell. He was a guy that middle infielder, good at shortstop at the University of Virginia. Small guy, not going to be a power hitter, but play either middle infield spot. I like him. I definitely feel he could be a good second baseman, even though he's good shortstop, but definitely love the way he plays. You just get a good feeling about the way he plays. Like his swing, excellent swing, fundamentally strong. Not a phenomenal athlete, but definitely a guy who you look at Jordan Westberg, what he's doing, Definitely, I think he's absolutely there. He kind of looks like, kind of feels like Dustin Pedroia. I keep saying it when I see him. Jett Fabian, good last year, estimated 2026. I'm only saying that more because he's blocked. I don't know how he gets to the majors, especially sooner than that. Some of these outfielders now, a lot of these young guys are in the majors. Such a good Orioles minor league program. I don't know if he hits a spot next year, even though I think, like, under different circumstances, he could. Great speed for Judge Fabian. I like the way he swings the bat as well. I think he's definitely worked his way into being a solid hitter. 5 tool, 5 tool, 5 tool, Vance Honeycutt. I think they were crazy for passing on Vance Honeycutt. This guy, everything I've seen, it's fantastic. Hits for power, great outfield defense, good speed, not necessarily a base stealer. All the athletic measurements is there. I think the only reason why he was lower, I think a lot of the Saber nerds are guys that don't like to swing and miss. He did a little bit of that. Nothing not to like about Vance Honeycutt. I thought he was fantastic. Dylan Beavers, I think, is 4. I think he's blocked. I'm interested to see if they make a trade for him. Definitely these two guys, 4 and 3, are very similar. Enrique Banfield, same. Great speed. I think Banfield, I think, is a better defensive player and a faster runner, but I think Beavers is right behind him. Very similar leadoff types as well. Definitely, I don't think they're very far away. I think you both see them at some point this year. I don't know right off the bat if you'll see them there, but I think Benfield and Beavers is great. I think Beavers, I think, is more of an established minor league hitter, so I think he's earned more there. Benfield at the draft last year, not quite as good of a hitter, established over a long period of time, but they're like really close. It's really going to depend on what they do this year to see who comes up first as well. Kobe Mayo, a lot of people want Kobe Mayo to be your starting first baseman come this year and trade Mountcastle. I think you got to play him at first. He's a train wreck at third. Everything else is great. He could probably play first with his tall stature. He hits the ball for power, tremendous power, great minor league player of the year for the Orioles. No way. If he doesn't start at the start in 2025, he's definitely going to start at some point. And Samuel Basayo, what happens? Outstanding catcher. I think tremendous hitter. I think he's definitely earned his way. Where you play him? Interesting. If you're talking about playing Mayo at first, right, and you got Adley, what do? Do you play him as a backup catcher in the majors? Or do you? I don't know. But I know he's fantastic. The bat speed it reminds me of Manny Machado. Like, as fast as the bat goes through the zone. So interesting to see it is a natural. Absolutely. Enjoy the game, guys. We'll be right back after the game and watch the Rivalry Sports Podcast instant reaction to the Ravens. Hopefully victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. We will see you after the game tonight. You have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the game. Enjoy.